leaving Bath, or we're sort of leaving Bath on our way to Stratford, and for once Conrad stopped in a good place. Usually he doesn't.
We're best friends with Roy McConnell.
Hopefully the next views are Stratford.
Which one?
Yeah. Leaving Bath.
So we're heading up to the main motorway. We'll cross the motorway and then we're going to start our scenic route this afternoon, taking us through Tetbury and some of the lovely little Cotswolds. The Cotswolds, it's an Anglo-Saxon word and it means the sheep's fold on a hill. And we already know that by the 12th century this became quite a wealthy area, and the wool merchants had enough money to build themselves nice stone houses, and that's why all the little towns like Tetbury, Moreton in the Marsh and all the others will be passing through have lovely stone buildings in them, all dating back to 12, 13, 14, 1500s. Very often quite grand churches in these little villages as well, because they have plenty of money. There's a private school there, the Western Bird School, and just shortly we'll be passing the entrance to Highgrove, the country home of Prince Charles. All we can see, unfortunately, from the road, unless we're lucky, is really the entrance, and there might be a few traffic cones outside, because actually Highgrove House is quite away from the main road. Sometimes you can just catch a glimpse of it if you keep looking, but it's going to be coming up on the left-hand side before we get into Tetbury itself.
Tetbury bitter. We'll try and drink.
For Charles, we're a fair step from London, aren't we?
And Hounds Pubs, of course, you know, they do have a lot of hunting in Gloucestershire. Of course, many people are trying to ban hunting at the moment, but in these parts they still very much like to do a bit of hunting. And Prince Charles and the other members of the royal family are all keen hunters, so you know it's quite probable that when a hunt meets outside a pub like the Hare and Hounds, you know, that Prince Charles and other members of the royal family would be there. Princess Anne also lives in the area, and also the home of Camilla Parker Bowles is very close to here as well, so the three of them have homes close together.
Who's the middle one, did you say? Princess Anne?
Yes.
Soon now, I just have to just a little bit further around here.
Jeez, dark. Oh, there's some high walls.
And it's just coming up now. We're just going to slow down a little bit. I mean, you can't really see an awful lot, but it's nice to say that you've seen the entrance. You can see the traffic cones there. So that's the entrance there to Highgrove, and it's quite a long drive. And a little bit further on, if you look back to the left, sometimes through the trees, but obviously, I mean, Prince Charles wants to be secluded. He doesn't want to be on show, but you can catch a little glimpse of the house, or just a little bit of it. But this will all be the grounds of the house. It's a large estate.
We'll peer through the clean back window. Well, you can't see too much really there, I'm afraid. No.
There are if you keep looking for the plume of feathers, you'll see one or two other shops, and there's a lovely old merchant's hall where they would have sold their wares, the cloth, back in the old days.
The Snooty Fox Hotel, love the name.
I don't know if we've missed it, but there was a bicycle shop somewhere where he obviously buys his bicycles, and that's got the plume of feathers as well, and one or two others. There's some rather expensive antique shops. You know, this is quite a wealthy area. You wouldn't find many bargains in the antique shops here. In fact, during the winter I visited one or two of the villages, and looking at the prices, they seem more expensive than London prices. Obviously, you know, there's enough wealthy people in the area to buy rather expensive antiques. Send their sons, you know, to learn all about farming.
Coach and went into the warmth and light. From the lane, all sense of direction gone from her. her one idea to escape from the thing that was Harry the Peddler. She crawled on uncertainly, the path widening and the fog clearing, and there she knelt amongst the driftwood and seaweed and loose shingle, while not 50 yards away, directly in front of her, were the high, combing seas breaking upon the shore. After a while, when remaining ally, Harry the Peddler by his side, stood with his back to the cart and let fly amongst the rabble. The first shot went wide, but it gave one of the opponents a chance. Enough out of loyalty to you. All your tears won't save him from justice. You must realize that. Men were murdered by him on the shore. Don't you understand? Our senses again. You can tell me what you were doing in that carriage, Mary, and where you'd been. Mary thought rapidly. It was easy enough to lie. Time was the all-important factor now. I'll tell you my day, and you can believe it or not. I walked to Launceston on Christmas Eve and went to the fair. I hired that carriage, and I told the man I wanted him to take me to Bodmin. I thought if I said the Jamaica Inn, he would have refused the journey. Were you alone in Launceston? Of course I was alone. All right. Whatever I did to you now, you'd tell the same story, wouldn't you? You've got the advantage for once, because I can't prove if you're lying or not. He threw his head back and laughed, but his laugh broke short in the middle. Listen, he whispered hoarsely. Listen. Something was scraping gently at the kitchen window, tapping lightly, softly, scratching furtively at the pane of glass. The scraping continued, persuasive and undaunted. Tap, tap, like the drumming of a beak. Mary watched the landlord as he stood.
Which was a Roman encampment. This is Morton in the Marsh, rather pretty town, and has a rather nice guild hall, which you'll see, medieval guild hall coming up on the left-hand side. St George slaying the dragon there on the market cross. We've made fairly good time, so not too far away from our next stop now, Stratford upon Avon. If you turn to page 8, you'll find a nice map of Stratford. Shakespeare is rather hoity-toity, you know, difficult to understand, but really he was writing in the language of the day, and it was very understandable. But what you have to understand is, you know, like when you study Shakespeare at school, there's lots of double meanings. That's because you couldn't really write anything slightly rude in those days. You know, you would have got into trouble with the authorities. So, you know, writers would... It must have been quite nice, but the audience would decide. So the audience, whatever mood they were in, you know, would decide. You know, the playwrights would do the two endings so that the audience could decide how they wanted the day to finish, so to say.
Out at Anne Hathaway's cottage. Look at the garden, I think. Get another shot from the front as well. It's getting a bit chilly again, actually.
There's a
shot of the inside of the garden. It's just that they want us to pay to go in, so it doesn't look like I'm gonna. A shot of the inside of the house really. In fact, I can't see. I'm leaning over a hedge at the moment, so with the camera like 2 foot above my head. Just to give you an idea of the garden and so on. But I need the commentary. You didn't want to start that again. So that's the house basically. We're going to actually go, I'm going to try and get inside Shakespeare's Birthplace rather actually. Anyway, I wasn't going to go inside this one, so it's the back of the cottage. I think we're going to call this one a day, then get back to the coach so I don't have to sing Bob Our Black Sheep again. Because I didn't go down. I was complimented by one of the ladies, so apparently my skiing wasn't that bad after all. Only at Shakespeare's Birthplace. I'm going to go inside here. It's the museum, and there's a lovely garden at the back as well actually. Let's get some of the detail here. Garden at the back of the house. There is the house. I think I'm going to go around to the house and then can have a look at the garden from there maybe. Oh dear, doesn't look like you can go in the garden actually. It's the back of the house. Oh, what a pity. But anyway, we saw some of the garden from the coach. It's very nice actually, so I just hope we can take video inside because they said to us no video in the exhibition, so I just hope that maybe we can go around the other side, I don't know. Detail on the wall here on the side. Looks a bit modern here actually, this looks like cement. But this part looks original. This is going up by the chimney. Definitely some parts look a bit modern. See the chimney stone as well. Front entrance, yeah. Ugh, the entrance on the side I just came in. Oh dear. The entrance we just came out of over there. So this is the back of the house. Here is the garden actually. So this is the part I was actually trying to get to. I see it's actually herbs. If I look here very closely, I see they've got it's spearmint and parsley, and that's coriander, garlic chives over there, and common thyme I think it is. So I'm going to head out now back into the town, do some of the streets there, some beautiful streets. From that direction now, it was from Henley Street, I came down into Bridge Street towards the river from the museum, and there's always nowadays one of these around, I'm afraid. Discovered that Burger King is actually much more tasty than McDonald's, but anyway, it's a nice pub over here as well. And on the left, coming up on the left is going to be the river. I'll try to get a nice shot of some of the river. I'm going to be on top of the bridge here, and I'm going to try to get another shot of the bridge if it's just worth looking at. Otherwise, maybe just the river. From the top of the bridge here. I'm not going to have time to go on a barge, unfortunately, or cruise, but it's quite nice. Standing next to the boats here, there's a monument here to old Shakespeare. He's been moved from an original location. And these boats people actually live on, they're not for rent and so on. Hamlet here, statue of Hamlet, there's each of his four famous characters. And you'll see here that, yeah, as I said, there's kettles and the whole thing on board here. That's where the bridge is in the background. From the bridge where I was standing a bit earlier, the statue's now on our right. There's a lock over here. There's a swan there with its babies. There's a sign telling you about how far the various locks are from where we are now. And these are the locks for these barges to go through. Caravans, I suppose you could call them. Town is in the background there on the right, and straight behind me. Oh, this one's trying to get over actually. It's the lock on the other side. This one got stuck on the wrong side by the looks of it. It's in Japanese and German, I'm afraid. It's not going to help us much.
Yeah, so if you want to make your mark as a...
Yeah.
So I'm going to go over this bridge, not this bridge, so I'm going over a bridge right now. This is part of the main river, obviously. Lots of ducks, people rowing. It's Avon. See how well the image stabilizer works. Avon. River Avon. Snapshot view. Church in the background. Sheep Street leading up away from the river. Let me see if I can find Nash's house.
She's like the real Shakespeare.
Lots of pubs here. Across to the other side without getting knocked over. There's another one over here. The Rose and the Crown. Battery's going down, I'm going to have to conserve energy. This is a curiosity shop here. You can take a trip back in time. And that's down there. It's off Sheep Street. Nash's house. Another shot of the house, and it's right next to the church. We go fast because the battery is definitely busy dying. And that's the Shakespeare. Okay, after the battery went flat, here's our visit to Warwick Castle, and we're standing up on the hill looking down. Very nice view. You can see the rain has stopped. And if I move a little around the side, you can actually get a 3D view. In reality, Conrad didn't take us there, so this will have to be second best. No, it's a bit further along the road. It's Stoke-on-Trent going to the Wedgwood Pottery factory. There's a bit of river. Just missed the Trent River though.
Bought the estate, Barlaston House was in such a bad state that the house was sold in 1940 for a price of £1. You'll see the house in a moment, it's been beautifully restored now.
Frisians out there?
I know they make milk. What's that, or beef? One
And
of
all
the
the
two.
windows in the gatehouse and also in the main house are hexagonal windows, and that's very typical of Staffordshire. And this is the main entrance. A little bit different, I think, to entrances into some factories. This is
Public footpath down there.
grand entrance. But if you look, keep looking to the left. In a moment to the left, you'll have a view of Barlaston House. Just after these rhododendron trees on the left. There we are, that's the house. Rather lovely windows. Not bad for £1.
Oh,
Wedgwood over there. This is about it, I'm afraid, so about here for about an hour or so. On our way to Chester from Wedgwood. Ooh, big bumps. Outskirts of Chester. Some of the houses here before we get into the centre of town. We're about 2 kilometres from the centre still. And running late. Chester Cathedral.
The monasteries down. Chester was just a building, the abbey. So the city of Chester asked Henry VIII, can we keep our church? Some he demolished, like the one in Cottage, but this one he renamed it and he reconstituted it as a cathedral church. So built as an abbey, but became definitely St. Birthplace, the Llangollen. But I like a bit of exercise.
Here's a shot from the top now, I think, the top of the walls. View down one of the streets here.
Come on folks, move down maybe a little bit.
It's quite busy as well.
Folks, this is the very famous Eastgate. It's one of the most photographed streets in the city of Chester. You can see the lovely black and white buildings. But do you remember I said to you that the fronts of the buildings are not the original one. You can see there that house is 1895, so it's a much older house, but the Victorians have done a sort of imitation medieval front. They did it around the world, these lovely gables and the beautiful carvings. One of the typical things of Chester. We're going to be walking up the East Gate, and about halfway down we'll start to notice the road. So I think that we're on 2 levels. We can actually walk up to
The clock tower we're just standing on now. It's put up for Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee.
for those that wanted bank, there's quite a few along this street. 1 or 2 of you I know wanted the toilets. We'll be finishing a bit further up there. Round the apartment store. It's a very nice apartment store. It's back in the shop.
Oh, take care. Yeah.
The Rose. It's double-story shops, basically. Well, I thought it was going to be more older than this, but crossover. There's the Edinburgh wooden woolen mill. We find them everywhere. I hope they're going to be in Edinburgh as well.
That's what I've got.
More of that road as well. I'm going to be heading down Bridge Street
These are the
actually.
rows that I was telling you about. You can see two levels there, you know, and all these lovely carvings, but like I said, Victorian carvings here. We're at the Market Cross. It's not a cross, and that's all that's left. It's after all the cross and chopped down. This is where, still to this day, the town
1664.
if you was here, it's missing. But it's where the merchants of the city would have met. You know, nowadays you might do business on the internet or whatever, but in days of old, people would meet at the Market Cross, discuss business, and once they decided on a deal, they would spit on their hands.
Further down Bridge Street now. I'm going down to the bridge at the moment. I just found this old Tudor hotel over here, and I'm heading down that way at the moment. What's the bridge? Close to the bridge now. You'll see one of the gates down here as well. Down there. I may get a closer shot of this place actually there as well. Quite a nice building. And some of the city walls maybe from the outside as well. Gonna get a shot of this bridge gate from the outside just now. That last building you saw just in front of the gate, the dark one of 1664 it was built. I can just pan around, this is the gate itself here. And that's looking back up the street that just came down now. And you can see the building, 1664. I'll find the date, it's up there. Picture of the gate from the outside. I'm standing on the bridge now, top of the river. Downriver it looks something like this, is it weird? You can hear it probably. It's upriver, sorry. So doing river cruises. So we're never going to go down the weir. Part of the city walls over here. It's the most complete city walls of any country in, any city in the UK anyway. I think maybe Europe as well in fact. It goes right around the city. There's a shot of the bridge itself that I was just standing on now. I took the picture. And I came from, you can see here is the gate over here. Took some still pictures as well. more of the walls, almost a little bit further upstream now. Some of the story of the walls. Snapshot of the bridge, snapshot. I've manually exposed this so I can get an amphitheatre just above the river. I'll just walk through the Roman garden. Some of the stones here. Apparently used to seat about 7,000 people. Oh, I'm not too sure, but anyway. And the traffic basically flows right around it, you can see at the back there. And this would have been its entrance over here. This pathway here would have been the northern entrance to it. See, basically that's the center of town I'm pointing at now. I'm going to head back that way. The Roman garden was just there now, off to the left, and that's a pathway also down to the river down there. Part of the original Roman ruins here. Old foundation.
We're going to cross the River Dee, but also just before we cross, have a look to the right. That's the Row D, the racecourse of Chester, the oldest racecourse in Britain. Is said to date back to the 1500s. It's circular and they race anti-clockwise.
See very much. Let's hope we can see more of the river actually. The River Dee we're going to cross.
But there we go, here's the River Dee that we're crossing now as well. It says Croeso I Cymru, which means welcome to Wales. Croeso I Cymru, welcome to Wales, because Wales is actually an Anglo-Saxon word for foreigner. So of course the Welsh wouldn't call themselves foreigners, but Cymru is the Welsh word for Wales, and that was the Red Dragon of Wales. And we're going to turn off the main road. We're going to take the little scenic roads to Llangollen for our journey.
Just coming to Wales. The Welsh mountains.
The industries of Wales, traditionally coal mining in the south. Unfortunately all the coal mines have now closed. Really since the miners' strike of the 1980s, have literally all been closing one after the other. There's just two which are open as museums now, but all the mines are now gone. Up in the north, it's an essential part of Wales. Mainly agriculture and sheep farming. Famous writers, Dylan Thomas, for example, who wrote Under Milkwood. Very, very nation with a strong sort of musical background. There are said to be more harp players in Wales than in any other part of Britain. And of course, Wales is famous for the male voice choirs. These really started when the Methodist movement came to Wales. Like in Cornwall, the Wesleyan message spread very quickly in Wales because the August and early September when it becomes this purple hue. So it's not just in Scotland, we do have heather in other parts of Britain as well.
Lots of sheep everywhere on the road.
Slate quarries, and that's slate over there, and we'll actually be passing the entrance to that slate quarry in a little while. But we're starting the ride up now towards the Horseshoe Pass. It's called the Horseshoe Pass because of the shape of the pass, and we'll stop for a photograph there of the Horseshoe Pass. And down in the valley, we can't see it from the place where we stop, but Llangollen itself is right down in the valley of the Horseshoe Pass.
I've literally been here a couple of days. Oh God, I wonder if that's in the lane.
Down into the valley now. zoom in on the sheep up there. Actually, they're sort of quite long-haired, often with tails. Ah, there we go. Just see him parking off next to the road here, actually.
Out to you in a moment, and we're winding our way down now around the Horseshoe Pass down to Llangollen, where the Music Eisteddfod takes place each year. It's a music festival of country musicians from all over the world. Llangollen itself, though, was started by monks, Cistercian monks. They built a monastery here. Cistercians wanted out-of-the-way locations, not near any towns. They felt that the Benedictines had become too worldly and they wanted somewhere to be more contemplative. And it was said they also wanted to pursue sheep farming, and it was them that brought sheep to Wales. And we'll be passing the Viale Crucis ruins of an abbey where the Cistercians were based. So you can see the slate very close by now as we go past.
Just pick it up and use it for them.
Llangollen is also famous for two ladies, two Irish ladies, Lady Eleanor Butler and Sarah Ponsonby. They were two girls, one from Ireland, one was due to be married off to a very old gentleman, one was due to be put into a convent. The two girls fell in love together at school. This was back in the 1800s, and of course caused a stir because the two girls ran away together, were caught, taken back, and then ran away again. They ran away to Wales. They wandered around Wales and eventually came across Llangollen, thought it was an idyllic spot. The locals weren't sort of perturbed by these two ladies who wore rather strange black outfits with great big black hats. They almost looked like clergymen, and they bought a little white cottage, and his aunt still lives there.
John Lennon's cottage down there, that one. When he was young.
Pretty long this one.
Sorry, I've got the cap there. It's an old abbey.
That goes back to the 1300s. But of course, you know, when the monks built that, there would have been absolutely nothing else in this valley. It would have been a nice contemplative place, and many of the monks would have been shepherds and would have taken, you know, flocks of sheep around. L-A-N means Chapel of Gollen. Gollen is the local saint, so Llangollen Chapel of Gollen. And in a moment we'll see a huge white tent, and that's where the music festival takes place. When I said country music, it's not country and western music, it's like country music of different countries. You know, they do performances here every year in July. The town gets very, very busy with all these different performers coming from all over the world. But it's said that Eisteddfod's, you know, music festivals go right back to the Celtic times. Engineers, and we'll also see a beautiful weir which comes right into the town, and also a steam train. I don't know whether the steam train will be there today, but there's a nice old Victorian railway station, and normally you can see at least some of the wagons stationed near to the station. And now we've actually gone over the canal and it's right over to our left now. That big white tent off to the left, that's where the music festival takes place. It'll tell us here what the dates are this year. You can see the spelling there for Eisteddfod, 8th to the 13th of July this year.
Eisteddfod. There's the railway carriages. Don't try to find the railway station.
Yeah. Otherwise, JJ.
Standing on the bridge here at Llangollen. Looking at the train station. It's the old Victorian station. Here on the railway station, you can see the old train and so on. And from here, they're right on the river. There, that's the town there, the centre of town, and I took the picture from up there on the bridge. It's another shot of the bridge, but closer. See, the water's quite fast actually. Coming down the hill, the mountain. Just walking up one of the side streets at the moment. I'm going to go see if I can find the mill at the moment down by the river. It's down that way somewhere. I'm just going up one of the side streets. Can't find the moulder. Prince of Wales pub over here, and this is to shut up the main street. You can go, it's Conrad's Castle.
Castel Dinas-Bran, where the great
God.
Welsh hero Owen Glendur was defeated.
Oh.
I saw strange signs up the street pointing down the road this way. They had a Dalek.
This is rather distant, but
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yes,
was-
they've got a Dalek museum.
Hello?
Yeah,
That what that's all about.
like Doctor Who
Doctor
thing.
Who,
Yeah,
yeah.
Doctor Who. Yeah, because that's quite a big thing over here, Doctor
That
Who.
was quite a big thing in Australia.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it was in the 70s anyway.
right on top of the hill.
I'm of that generation.
Come on.
Wow. I went in the doorway. Oh, I missed a piece, wait. There we go. Are you sure you're going to be able to get there? Okay, and that's the castle. I'm sure he didn't repeat the whole story now, though.
No, he's right up in the like.
Glimpse of the castle. Can't see it too well now.
And I didn't see on the bus.
On our way back. pick up the other people now. Coming back into Chester now. There's one of the gates again. The chimney pots we can see now are shaped with different chess pieces in Victorian times. So some are rooks and bishops and so on. See if I can catch them later.
That's a great shot.
Probably missed. Okay, I couldn't get all the chimney pots, but we're going around now. Oh, another church, what do you know? Leaving Chester. Oh. Okay, here's some chimney pots. Different shape. If Richard will just keep still. Those are pawns. Different chess set pieces. And there's more over there. They're shaped in Victorian times. Chester houses. Chester, some of the red houses. On the outskirts, or between Manchester and Liverpool, some petrochemical factories. It's very flat here. Not much to see. Conrad was going to play us the Beatles song, but he's messed it up.
Manchester, a textile town.